I don't think we can go anywhere until we first establish what is this thing and what does it do.
Yes, this is a KUZMA self-playing guitar. It is a piece of technology that I've created over the past 7 years now that allows any guitar to play itself. This is the 4th one that has been created. It demoed for Jeff Bezos earlier in the year. Yeah.
Okay, so there are a lot of directions we could go from that, but start this way. Well, first of all, can we hear a little bit of it? Just a little?
Yeah, absolutely. What would you like to hear?
Blackbird.
Blackbird? I do actually have that one. We'll play it. A Beatles classic. There'll be plenty more to hear, don't you worry.
I know it, but we need to be clear. This is really playing the guitar. This wasn't a recording or anything. It's
Correct.
playing the guitar. Okay. Why on earth did you do this? What got you into doing this?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
So I have played guitar my whole life. So in the 3rd grade, I was playing Twinkle Twinkle Little Star.
Right.
I studied abroad in Granada, Spain to learn flamenco guitar where it originated.
Oh, wow.
And then I decided to study electrical engineering because I thought I couldn't Google it. I knew nothing about engineering.
Right.
So when I just couldn't sleep one night,
Right.
and I got up in the middle of the night and wrote a 2-page paper by choice for some reason about what a self-playing guitar may look like. I didn't know if it existed.
Right.
And this was just kind of an excuse to combine the passion and the desire to learn something.
Right.
And go, and it just went way further than I expected.
Well, you actually did it. Now, you were well aware, I'm sure, that self-playing pianos were well known.
Yes.
You see them all over the place, airports and stuff like that. But you must have realized this was not going to be as easy as a self-playing piano. Fair enough?
Yes, that's a very, So with pianos, you only have to worry about which note to hit and how hard you hit it.
Right.
I guess there's foot pedals too, but in general, there's a limited amount of variables you can control.
Right.
Although there's way less strings on a guitar, the versatility of what you do with those strings is exponentially way more complex.
Right.
And I guess after now going through with it, and it took 9,400 hours of time and effort to get to the very first delivery, I understand now why there hasn't really been one that's any good.
Now, just a second. 9,400 hours. Okay. A normal full-time employee works about 2,000 hours a year. So you're talking about the equivalent of almost 5 years of full-time work going into this.
Yeah, I guess over 7 years because I was studying and had a job and all that. So I'm a little slower, but
but it's like if you had devoted yourself entirely to this on a regular work schedule, which you obviously didn't use, it would have taken a long time.
Yes, that's for certain.
Okay. You mentioned Jeff Bezos. You, I gathered, showed this to him, and if I have read things properly, he, Jeff Bezos, founder of Amazon, one of the wealthiest people on the planet, told you you're a madman.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes, that did happen.
What's the story?
So I had a video of this playing Wonderwall in downtown Perth, Australia, and the video went absolutely viral.
Right.
It's the guitar purists took a hold of it, and the comments just let it just exploded. So I was getting requests from all across the planet. And when I first got the request from Amazon, I thought it was a scam.
Right.
But then I followed up with them and learned, this is a very legitimate request, and it's an event. It's a private event that they do once a year called Amazon Mars.
Yep.
And I demoed it for Jeff Bezos and many of the other people in the room.
Right.
And I guess in a conversation with Jeff, I showed him a song that no human can possibly play, which I'm sure we can play it later if you want.
Yeah.
And by the time it was playing 44 notes a second, he said, "You're a madman."
Well, so tell me, what were the problems you had to solve to make this doable?
Yep. So I guess when I started it, all I knew was how to actually play the guitar.
Yeah, but you were a very good guitar player by that point.
Yeah.
If you're not being, boasting here, but you were.
I know my way around how to play guitar, yes. Yeah. So I guess it first started with, I have nothing to compare to. So it's getting something that works, something that does anything.
Right.
So I know, like, when I first had it to 6 strings, I took it to a retirement community. That was the only place that would take me for a live show at that point in time.
Right.
And I left this guitar there for a week, said, give me feedback.
Yeah.
And this is the very first time I played 6 strings. So they gave me 3 points of feedback after that week. They said, we don't like parts falling off the machine. We don't like that it smells like fire. And we don't like that we can't recognize any of the music. But getting to the point where it's playing any music, let alone good or bad music, was an achievement nonetheless.
Right.
So once it started playing music, the next biggest challenge was every time it was playing music, all you heard was the mechanical clanks and all the things moving around, but you didn't actually hear the guitar. Right. That's not very enjoyable. Right. So that was kind of halfway through my journey, I had it playing music, and the other half was just making it quiet.
Right. People, I'm sure, are wondering, were there off-the-shelf parts that you were able to use for this or not?
It varies. I usually would start with an off-the-shelf component, right, and then learn by getting something that worked and having something to compare it to, right, that wasn't the right tool for the job. So it would oftentimes lead to something completely custom, right, and I would choose solutions that allowed me to iterate very quickly. Right. Now, some of the components that I have on there, it's very difficult as an individual or a small business to approach a large industrial company and say, I need this industrial component for a self-playing guitar. Right. When you sell in the batches of tens of thousands, right, and I say, hey, can I get 25? Right. They don't really want to talk to you. No. They don't even bat an eye at you. Right. So it was definitely very difficult to actually get the components I needed, right, to do the job once, right, I had something to compare to.
Right. So what were your skills? What are your skills that have nothing to do with playing the guitar, but have a lot to do with all of this engineering? Where did this come from?
I guess it was built over that 7,000 hours, or 9,400 hours, sorry, 7 years. Yeah. Just by banging my head against the wall over and over again. But I guess it wasn't just me by any means. Right. Like, every single step of the way, I would go to people, professors, teachers, corner people at a career visit day, whatever it is. If I thought they were this knowledgeable in what I was trying to solve, I would talk to them about it. Right. Get 50 possible solutions from all these people, try 10 of them. One of them would eventually work. Right. And just keep going through that process over and over and over and over again. And I would now probably consider myself decently average at many of the engineering disciplines. I'm not an expert in any of it, but enough to get by to do what I wanted to do.
So it sounds to me perfectly fair to say this was an obsession with you. Fair enough?
Yes, healthy or unhealthy, depending on how you look at it.
Yes, exactly. But it sounds also like you must have used every spare moment you had on this, or pretty near.
Yes.
Right? I mean,
it went through waves. I know, I didn't touch it for 5 months when I studied abroad to learn flamenco guitar.
Yes, right.
And there were other periods where, I definitely like to travel. So outside of that, a majority of my free time is definitely spent wondering why this doesn't work as well as I want it to.
Does it still not work as well as you want?
No,
Are you there?
I'll be its worst critic. Granted, now when someone sees it at the outset, it's holy cow, look at that. Right. But at this point, all I will hear is all the imperfections, and I want it to play with feeling. I want it to play with heart. I want to perform with it and take pride performing with it and just do the coolest things you can possibly imagine with it. Right.
So you're still working on it?
Oh, very actively, yes. I guess in the past year, it's been, how do I make them? I built 4 this year somehow, many sleepless nights, and been demoing it across the planet. I'm in Melbourne next month, but eventually I'll get back into, hey, what's that next iteration? What's the next step? The artist number 2 is on a wooden guitar in brown. It looks nothing like the one you see here right now.
Let me ask a very simple question. How does it work?
How does it work? I guess at a very simple level, I have a 1-string player. There's 6 strings on a guitar. And I have components that move, that enable, it's basically a 1-string guitar player times 6. Yeah. And from that, I can select a fret a string, and pick the actual string. Right. Granted, anyone who plays guitar will be like, well, what about bends? What about hammer-ons? What about pull-offs? What about harmonics? What about rasgatos? What about all those other techniques you're growing? I know. It's coming. Right. I got a song no human can possibly play. We could do that one.
Let's hear the one that humans cannot play.
Yeah, so this one's named after a coworker named Bojo, and he said you needed something that basically no human can play. You need something to show off. So this song is dedicated to him with that idea, and you're going to hear the same riff over and over again, and by the end of it, it's going to be playing 44 notes a second, and if you can pick with your own hands faster than that, I'll give you this guitar. Double again. Double again. One more. Now 44 notes a second. There you go.
It's astounding. It's astounding. And you told me, 44 times a second. I didn't think I could even distinguish that or hear it, but now I know what it is, and you really can do it. It's amazing. All right, well, look, you're an engineer at Hexagon. I have to ask, is there any connection between the engineering work you did here and the engineering work you do at your day job?
Yeah, so I guess I've been working at Hexagon now 4.5 years. And when I originally took the job, I wouldn't have been able to give you this answer.
Right.
But now after going through with it, I understand. What I'm doing here is I'm making the robotic hands of a guitar player.
Right.
And what I'm doing at Hexagon is I'm making drive-by-wire systems for the autonomous road trains that were just talked about just a little bit ago. And what I'm doing for them is I'm making the hands and feet of an operator for a vehicle that is not normally controlled by a computer. So the thing that actually turns your steering wheel, what actually pushes the pedals, what turns the turn signal.
You mentioned earlier, I think, that there are 4 of these things now.
Yep.
Where are the other 3?
So there is one in Peoria, Illinois that was delivered in front of friends and family and pretty much at a not-for-profit restaurant in front of everyone who's ever helped with this guitar. That was a very gratifying moment. The second one got delivered to a mentor in the New York area. And the third one just got delivered 3 weeks ago in Cyprus, believe it or not.
And so those other 2 are just people who love the guitar and think this is an incredible invention.
Yeah, it varies the motivations per individual, and they're all customized to whatever they want. And one of them, they have a self-playing piano, and they want it for personal music enjoyment, and they know they're not any good at guitar.
Yeah.
And the others were just for setting ambiance in the environment they wanted to create.
Yeah. How many can it play now? How many songs have you got?
I don't know the exact song number, but it's got 9.5 hours worth of music, and it keeps growing very regularly.
Yep. And how long does it take you to teach this to play a song?
So that's probably the most common question I do get.
Yeah.
As far as before, when I did that retirement home demo, it took me 24 physical hours to write 10 minutes worth of music. I promised them 30.
Right.
And then I came back and said, nope, you're getting 10.
Right.
So after going through that, I realized something had to be done.
Yeah.
So I basically it's analogous to MIDI, if anyone's familiar with that, or it's analogous to sheet music.
Right.
And I have a transcriber that makes it speak my robot's language. And then if my guitar can't play it, which it plays 95% of whatever you throw at it, it'll tell you, hey, note 4, measure 16, maybe move that to this string.
Yep.
And then it can therefore play it. So it's not going to play it how humans always play it. It's its own artist.
Right.
So, but it does its own rendition of pretty much anything you throw at it.
Do you have a favorite song that it plays?
It changes daily. And to be, I guess it's often the new ones that get added to the library because it's, this is not one I've heard 100,000 times yet. So, I don't know if I could throw one in particular, but I do like some of the movie themes.
Yeah.
And it does good for Dust in the Wind, and it does good for some of the classics, Stairway to Heaven, stuff like that.
Michael, what I want to do now is for you to pick something out that you like that will be good to play us off as we break for lunch. Go on, tell us what you're going to do.
Well, how about I'll do one that's so recognizable that I'll leave it for you to determine what song that actually is.
Great.
And we'll take it from there to cue it out.
Yeah.